Public-private partnerships or private finance initiatives are pretty much the same thing. Tax dollars mixed liberally with private investor money to provide products and services that were previously out of reach competitively for private companies. Things like education. Now, the government provides education for all, funded by tax dollars. Now, direct competition with these government services is difficult, but in some places not impossible. Take public schools. At no point in time have private schools not existed. They've always been there, but there is a caveat. They cost extra. Public schools are not free, they are funded by tax dollars. Therefore, people have already paid for their schooling. Now, unless there's a real need, most people will use the public school system. Private schools, on the other hand, have found niches in the market. Some might want their kids to have their education to include copious amounts of religious doctrine and ritual. Rich people may want to send their children to private schools so their children can mix with other rich people's children. There may be many reasons to send children to private schools, but in these two examples, there is at least a partial element of an apartheid mindset, keeping one's offspring away from the riffraff or the great unwashed. Now, one school for them and a better one for us. So these schools cost those using them over and above the taxes they've paid, although for some reason, some of them come with a healthy tax break. One of the reasons for going private is often given as the public schools are overcrowded and underfunded. And the honest answer is they are overcrowded because they are underfunded, and they are underfunded, for one, because of the tax breaks given to parents who can afford to send their kids to private schools. But it has been shown again and again that schools where children do better have more money than those that don't, whether private or public. But that's enough about the differences between private and public schools. Back to the P3 model. Now, wouldn't it be best to combine the benefits of public and private schools? Public-private partnership sounds like it might do that, but it has nothing to do with the service or product being provided. It only means your tax dollars and private investor money will be mixed up and used to fund it. And in the case of schools, they'll still be run as public schools, but now the private side of the deal demands to make a profit. Now think about it. It's the same amount of money required to run the school if it were private money as if it were public money. But the owners of the private money are expecting a return on their investment. They want their money back with a healthy profit on the top. So how does a public school make money to create a profit? Well, it doesn't. The benefit of public schools is that it educates and prepares children to become, eventually, productive members of the workforce. Now, the real profit isn't seen until after they leave the school, and then it is evidenced in the community and the local economy. Now, it could be years later. So where can the private money make its profit? Well, the only way it can really make its profit is by cutting and providing poorer education, fewer books, not renewing aging equipment, skipping child abuse registry and criminal record checks for school employees, skimping on fire inspections and emergency first aid, and CPR training for staff and contractors. And yeah, you guessed it, I have an entire video on the failure of P3 schools. You can check it out here. So the benefits of the private sector and the public sector in the marketplace has nothing to do with P3 at all. You can easily see the potential problems, particularly with taking a big chunk of your tax dollars and handing them over to a private company or corporation as pure profit. Less money for the service can only logically mean less service for your money. While it could be said that the public sector is an unfair monopoly, it would be highly dishonest to say that, because if we all own the public service, as we do with public schools, and if we all use the service like we hope we can with the fire services, and we can affect then the cost of those services through the political system, well, then we can kind of control them ourselves. It is not a corporation owned by a few people for the financial benefit of a few people. And if you want to affect change in the private company, well, you can't, because it's private, and it keeps itself protected under a shield of proprietary information, and trade secrets go away. While as a public sector concern, it would be owned by all of us. Then we come to the other side of this proverbial coin. In the perfect world, the private sector would include a free market, lots of healthy competition, lower prices, better product. This is sort of achievable, at least for a while, if it's as regulated and those regulations are actually enforced. But without regulations, the free market is just a bloody dogfight, where the biggest and strongest gobbles up its rivals until there are only a handful of big dogs left, all careful to do what the biggest dog is doing. And we're left with a virtual monopoly. A free market with no real choice. You can move from one company to the other, but the prices are the same and the products are just as poor. Now, with public financing models, what you get is a public sector market with a single private sector investor running the show. But public-private financing models have nothing to do with a free market. Generally, they produce no benefits for the citizenry, but provide a safe and competition-less free market for one private company or corporation. Public-private financing models are nothing more than tax-funded private monopolies. Your taxes making corporations and the rich people that own them richer. So if you still believe that P3 partnerships are a good thing, I've got some swampland in Florida for sale that you might be interested in. Little Green Man. This is the back door to the Manitoba legislature. Now, if you hit the subscribe button now, hit the notification bell, then you won't be surprised when they try to stick something up your back door.